Welcome to the Never Been Promoted podcast and YouTube channel. I'm on a mission to help you cut the time to all the things that are holding you back so you can unleash your entrepreneur.
See that? Yeah, feel it. Okay, that's enough of that music. The music's gorgeous. Hey, listen, welcome to Never Been Promoted. Hi, I'm Thomas Helfrich, your host. I'm in a fun, cheeky mood today. So Annie Cole is joining us today. I'm not sure how Annie's going to take my cheeky mood. We're gonna dive right into it and figure it out. She's the founder of Money Essentials for Women. I'm going to give you a clue though, for all the sexist men out there. It's going to help you too. So just listen up. It's marketing to say it's for women, just but maybe it's not. I don't know. I think it's going to help anybody. So listen up. Try, Annie, when you get on here in a minute, I will tell you. I'm just trying to keep my market together. Okay, it's men and women. She can't defend herself because I see her in the background here. She's like, but wait. We'll get there. Anybody who's joined me today for the first time, you're probably like, who the hell is this guy? Well, I'm Thomas and I'm your host. And because I have the microphone or don't, you have to listen maybe. Just kidding. Our mission, guys, listen, it's to help entrepreneurs get better at entrepreneurship. And there's lots of things kind of holding you back in entrepreneurship. A lot of ties, so to speak, the metaphor of cutting the tie, all that stuff. And a lot of them are things that you just create or do or make up or excuses, fears, whatever, people in your life. I hope you can learn from our guests about how maybe they snapped off some ties to become successful, how they help others. And today we're going to have a lot of conversations around money essentials and the mindset of money, even when you have it, don't have it. So this is going to be very powerful. I have one shameless plug that I usually do. If I can figure out how to get it out there. Just go to neverbeenpromoted.com. If that's too complicated, just from this YouTube video, youtube.com/@neverbeenpromoted. Why never been promoted? Because I was never promoted in my career. So that's simple. All right, Annie, come on up. How are you?
Hello. I'm doing great. How about you? Cheeky mood, perhaps?
Cheeky. I'm feeling cheeky. Right. We're during the intro. You guys don't realize this. It's like at 1:39. And I bought myself an extra second by clicking it as I ran out the room to go get a coffee. And I did slip down the stairs, just so you know. I predicted my outcome. Because we have a self-closing door to our basement, and I have to fumble it. And I, like 84% of the time, slip when I'm in a hurry. And I did again. We won't discuss where the coffee went.
Well, I hope you're feeling ready, Thomas.
I would say I was born ready, but I'm not. I become ready in the moment. So, and where do you call home? Where do you reside?
So
exactly?
I'm a West Coast girl for sure. I am in Washington State, so Vancouver, Washington. A lot of people don't know where that is. They assume it's Vancouver, BC, but 3 hours from Seattle, Washington, and then just across the Oregon border from Portland.
There's very few parts of the U.S. I haven't been to. The Northwest is one of them. And I hear, though, that area is ridiculously expensive to live because of the terrain and housing. Is that true? Like it's hard to find places to actually build homes.
It's super expensive. Yes, there is. It's hard to find land that's buildable, but also real estate is super, super expensive, especially if you get up towards Seattle. Oh my gosh. I couldn't tell you what the average home, but I would say probably 800 to $1 million as a starter home. So it's spending.
It doesn't make sense. Like, I mean, you just don't make that much more. I'd have to guess a lot of people though, like when they grow up there and their parents are, there's like, hey, mom, dad, we're going to move until you die because then we'll take that property back. Good luck.
Mm-hmm.
They moved to like Missouri or something like St. Louis where it's a little cheaper. I don't know.
Yeah.
Get it. So she's rich is what she's telling you because she lives up there. That's all we were leading to because she manages. Cheeky, told you it's coming full on. You grew up there in the Northwest?
I spent my whole life in Oregon. Yes, I grew up in a tiny town. My town population was actually 2,000 people. And my mom is a hairdresser. Dad is a tugboat driver. They were very much blue collar workers. And Yeah, I mean, that's why I love being a financial coach now, because it's so much fun to think about all the things you can do to either create income or manage money, but it's definitely not something I grew up with at all.
No, well, let's go tugboat driver. I never even knew that was like, I guess it is a job. People drive tugboats. So when the boat hit the bridge in Baltimore, did he have an opinion on that one?
Mm, I didn't talk to him about it, but I would just say he's extremely cautious. It's funny enough, I don't know how he would have found that job, besides he was at home, 18 years old, decided to drop out of college, got a phone call, and someone was actually recruiting for people to come up and work on crab fishing boats in Alaska. And that's how he ended up on a boat, and that's what he's done for the rest of his life. So that's his career story.
Okay. He's got to at least watch the Discovery show with Mike Rowe, when they're going fishing from crabbing. He's like, that's not how it works.
That's what he did. The really dangerous crabbing work. So he did that for lots and lots of years.
No, Ron, your dad. Sorry, just tugboat. It's interesting. How did you get in? So how did you make maybe just take a journey story for us. Like, talk maybe in short, what you're doing today, your company, and back up a bit on how you got there.
Yeah. So right now I'm running a financial coaching company. It's me and then a directory of coaches. So we actually have coaches in the realms of finance, but also career and business. So we basically just help women make the most of their money. If you want to pay off debt, if you want to climb the ladder, if you want to get a promotion, we're here for you. And we have the expertise to help you out. But prior to doing that, I actually was working at a startup. I was a vice president of research, and I was there for 4 years. And it was a wild ride. It was so much fun. I learned so much about business. So that also helped me know, when I jumped out of that and started my own business, how to kind of get my feet on the ground as far as marketing and sales and product development. So that's where I'm at.
Well, okay. So you went to school for that? Like, what was the...
I mean, if we want to do the full career story,
the reason I ask is because a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, they have a path. And what happens a lot of times in their path, is, I went to school for this, or I didn't go to school at all, and I thought I was going to become a hairdresser or a tugboat, or at least my parent. And I smashed my face on a tree branch, and next thing I know, I'm doing this, right? So, like, how did you go from where you thought you were going to go? Because in entrepreneurship specifically, people got to this is one of the biggest ties, right? It's okay.
Yes.
To just pivot directions, and though you have time invested in money and other things, and people have opinions about what you shouldn't do in life, it is your life. And so that's why I asked that question. It's like, how did you pivot to where you are?
I love it. It's such a good question. And I've made many pivots. I encourage all of my clients to be very open to making pivots. So I started off as a social worker. I went to school for psychology, thought I want to help people. I want to be a counselor, became a social worker. I loved the work, but unfortunately it just wasn't really great for my personality. It was really overwhelming and emotionally draining. So my through line has always been helping people and crunching the numbers. So I went from social work to helping people in a college environment. I was an academic advisor, and then moved my way up the ranks, found myself using data a lot to inform how I was going to help students. So for example, if I found that a student was struggling in the sciences and they wanted to be pre-med, I'm going to have a very data-informed conversation about that. So followed the data path to become a research analyst, which is what I did at the startup, and then eventually fell in love with business and kept helping the CEO and executive staff use data to make really good decisions about how to grow the business, what to lean into. And then that turned into financial coaching and crunching financial numbers. So it's been that helping people and the data through line for sure.
All right. So did you leave the startup, or did the startup leave you?
I left the startup. So I will say I'm still part-time at the startup, which has been so much fun. I actually helped them win this really prestigious grant. There's the Education Innovation Research Program through the federal government. They give out grants to innovative education programs. And so this company, Modern Classrooms Project, they created this classroom model where teachers can implement technology and have more of a blended format. So we just got some huge funding to do that. And because I was the VP of research, that was my bread and butter. So I still work part-time with them to help the grant go while I'm doing the other work.
See, I like that. And I love that, because when people start their own things or they're doing it, I think the mindset is, I don't have to be one thing. Now, you can't do everything, because that's the entrepreneurial ADD that takes over and you're screwed. But if you love to do something and you also love to do this, and they both get some money for you, or they do something to help puts you into a better space, that's a
Yeah.
good thing. I don't think you have to brand and label yourself, because when you go to school, you come out, you're like, oh, I'm a manager of this, or I go do that. I'm a salesperson, but you
Yeah.
can be something else in the evenings. You can do something else in the mornings or during lunch. The point is, don't limit your thinking to what people's expect or the perception of you is. And I like that you're like, no, I still love doing that research. And it helps you probably, right, today, even just because it keeps your mind sharp in a different way. And so
It really does. And I think even when I've become an entrepreneur, I don't know if you feel this way, it has opened up my mind to creating multiple income streams even within my work. So whereas before I thought I'm the VP of research, I have my responsibilities, I have my resume. Then you go start a business and you think, well, I could create this service. I could have a group offering. I can have a downloadable. I can have an online course. There's just so much you can do within your business. So that's my favorite part for sure. Just being creative
yes.
and wearing all the hats.
I like you say keep it in your business. So if my mind goes, oh, I'll do, I have a marketing agency for LinkedIn, right? So I have that. Like, let me start a podcast. Let me write a book about this. Let me start a community. I'm like, you're tied around entrepreneurship. They're certainly not in the same business. Then my mind goes, maybe I should buy a franchise with what do they call them? Dumpsters. So like, that's my thinking. It's like, let's get out there.
You sound like my husband. He's also, so I was very type A in my younger life, buy the books, followed all the rules. He's an entrepreneur, has been wanting to run a business probably since he was 5. So he has a consulting business, and he also has a marketing firm that he works on. And now he's thinking about buying another business. So yeah, I think he's trying to keep it all together, but he has so many ventures going. So we're very entrepreneurial in our household, which just makes it fun. We always have new ideas.
Does your husband like to play video games?
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay, so the reason I know this by your answer, what you just told me, your husband's only searching for the path that makes money where he can play video games all day long.
Ooh, kind of.
So 2 podcasts cancel on me. What did I show you?
Video games.
And the reason is because we're like, how can I make money and do nothing? But then our brain goes, but I can't do nothing. I'll play video games. As soon as they make video, I'm sure he's like, I think I want to be. Ask him just in serious. He's like, did you want to become a professional video gamer? Are you mad that you're too old to do it now? just sit back and let him make excuses, talk, and he'll get to, I wish I could. I just suck at Fortnite.
Yeah, I'll have to ask him.
I assure you the answer deep down is, hell yeah, that's what I've done.
Okay.
It's like, dude, stop, comes in, cancels the camera on you. All right. Are you in the office or work from home kind of entrepreneur?
I'm a work from home. And so my husband and I both work from home, but both have our own offices. We used to have a very old house, our former house, where super thin walls. He worked in the living room. He's very loud, so we both could hear each other all day long. No, we're both now home in our offices, have our little setup. I also love that you can kind of shut it down at the end of the day, turn off the computer, walk out the door. So I definitely have a shutdown routine.
Yeah, that's good. My wife and I both work from home most of the time. She's hybrid, but if we could not be in the same room, like, actually, I don't think I could be in the same room as anyone anymore. It's been like, I would be it'd be, all right, let's move forward to something of value for everyone. This is fun for me. And I don't want to be selfish, because I could just cheeky. That's the key word for this one. Tell me some essentials on money. So you help people solve problems for them, and it sounds like it goes beyond money, like some wellness or mindfulness and some other pieces, and specifically around women. And I love the fact, just from a marketing standpoint, there may be other reasons that you focus on women. I think that's a smart move. I wish I could focus just on men on the entrepreneurship side, but the thing is, half our clients are women. Because I understand the men's perspective of being an entrepreneur and the struggles. For you, you probably understand the perspective from the women's side on money. Is that fair? And is that the angle that you're like, I don't get how men think about money, but I get at least how some women, figure about it?
Yep. And I think there are a few men that engage in the community, but mostly the focus on women is a lot from my own story and from my vision for the company, which is a lot of women still either didn't get the education around finances, feel some sort of shame, or just feeling lost around finances. And there's also some opportunity to empower women to do things that they traditionally wouldn't do. Investing is a big one for me. I love teaching women how to invest in the stock market because it's such a powerful wealth builder. And a lot of women don't tend to own that part of their finances, whether they're alone or in a partnership. So, yeah, the goal is just to help women holistically with their finances. And I found that when I was, I was climbing the ladder, I was getting promotions, I was making more money. And suddenly I'm making six figures and thinking, well, I want to do something with this. I just don't want to set it in my savings account or spend it all. And I found that it was really hard to find that go-to spot that's not, okay, I have a retirement rep, I have a CPA, but who else? Like, who can coach me on my resume, my budget, my philosophy, these bigger things? So that's what the vision of the company is that we're that middle step where we give you more support and the technical piece, but really more holistically.
All right. So here's a question. So they're in their 20s. So a female in her 20s, she has an extra $300 a month. Like after you had fun, and there is, but this is before they've saved. So not the route that some people go, which some people go like give some to the church, then save a little, then live on it, and whatever your route is, whatever your stack is. A lot of people go a little fun, then save. All right. Do you tell that person to save that money, or do you tell them to invest in themselves?
I would first ask what their goals are, because I think that gets missed a lot. People will try to have, there's one rule: you should invest until this much a month until you retire. Well, I don't know. Are you wanting to buy a new car in the next 6 months? Do you want to buy a home in the next 2 years? And are you going to have kids in the next 3? Because if those are all the goals you have, what's really cool and what I do with my clients is you can create this entire holistic financial plan that says, I'm going to buy the car, buy the house, have the kids, and retire. And then, okay, these are the dates when I hope to do those things. Let's work backwards. And so maybe in the next the next year, you're going to focus more on saving for the car out of that $300. Then when you meet that savings goal, you're going to focus on the house. And then all along, you're putting $100 in your retirement account because you never want to let that slip. So it really depends on your goals. I would say never just, if someone's giving you advice that you have to do it a specific way, it's probably not going to fit your needs. Start with your goals and then work backwards.
Sometimes it just fits them. The person's telling you the advice benefits them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, follow the money. And typically if someone makes more, if they manage more. But anyway, well, let me ask you this then. So at what point though, I've been self-employed for several years now, and I haven't saved for several years because I'm betting on myself. And so there's a risk there, right? There's a risk of, oh, wow, you're creating wealth in an asset. So I need every dollar I can to go to that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you that my wife is a W-2, works for somebody. She's like, you got to start saving. And she's right. But I'm like, but I could put, 10 or 20K a year away. So I don't plan on ever retiring because I'd get bored. I could put that toward my business to try to make 200 out of that in the next 10 years. So I don't, what's your advice? And these entrepreneurs were like, where do I put my money? Is it balance? Is it go back to goals? But like at some point you got to bet on yourself, and you can't be all over the place. You're going to have to go, you have to put a stake in the ground a little bit. What do you do there?
Oh man, that's such a good question. And I'm the same. I have invested tens of thousands of dollars in myself this year as a business owner to get training, to get coaching, to buy the tools that are going to help me automate certain parts of my business. So yes, invest in yourself when it comes to your business. And there's a way to do both. So you have your personal goals, and there's some really gold standard basics you should do. So number one, you should have enough set aside in an emergency fund to cover you, whether you're an entrepreneur or not. That's just going to keep you being able to sleep at night if an emergency happens. So best practice is 3 to 6 months of your expenses in an emergency fund. So if you're going to set aside any savings, I would start with that. Beyond that, I actually don't recommend that people keep a lot of money in savings, because savings accounts usually don't have any growth to them. They have super small interest rates, like 0.1%. So if you're going to do anything beyond your emergency fund, save for short-term goals or put it in your investment account to really grow, because that's going to grow at about 10% per year.
Bitcoin. We have Bitcoin people. I can't check right again. I mean, we all look back going, I could have done it. I bought it.
Yep. Yeah. But then
what about leveraging? What about from the instead of savings? So one thing we do a little financial engineering, right? Buy everything on cashback credit cards, which is like a 2%, 3% win, right? Even on business. And the other flip side of that is leveraging high yields CDs on that money that you don't need for sure in the next 6 months. And that ends up being like a 7% win on money. And so
Absolutely.
so that small financial engineering, you look down, you're like, oh wow, we made $1,000 or we made two, and you're like, do you recommend that kind of midterm lower? Like there is some yield, especially since rates right now here in 2024, and that they are still pretty good. Or I didn't mean to interrupt you on that. I just want to get your take on savings versus CD.
Yes. It's a great question. So if I was working with you, you can do this on your own too. I would start by creating a simple budget. So outline all of your expenses and your income. It does not have to be complicated. Open a simple budgeting sheet, like a Excel spreadsheet or Google sheet. One tab is your expenses, the other tab is your income. So for your expenses, you want to do an audit and see which things you are paying the best for, because we can do this very, very easily. We just forget, oh, we're subscribed to this thing. We're not actually using it anymore. Or maybe you're overpaying for insurance and you've been meaning to switch it. So audit your expenses first. Then when it comes to your income, you have a couple different options. So the lowest level is going to be a high yield savings account. That's going to be cash that you can access at any time. And I think high yields right now are about 4 to 5% interest per year that you're going to get. If you have cash that is in a mid range where you probably won't need to access it for 6 months to a couple of years, especially for a short-term saving goal, like for a house, a certificate of deposit is going to get you a little bit higher interest rate, potentially up to 7%. It's going to be locked away for that 6 months to a couple of years, but that's for short-term goals. Long-term goals is where you're going to put it into your actual brokerage or retirement account, because then you're going to get up to that 10%. So yeah, you're deciding between 4 to 5%, the 7%, and the 10%, depending on when you want to access that money. But yeah, every dollar you have should be in one of those spots or being invested into your business or something that's going to actually, do something for you.
Yeah, free time or whatever else.
Yeah.
I had a question for you, and it has escaped me. I think you answered it. See, that cheeky personality sometimes just backfires and just forget what you're going to say. What do you think is like the number one mistake people do make when they don't have what they would think is, no one has enough money? You always think, oh, if I could just make a little bit more. In that thinking, is that the selfish mistake, or what? When tell me what the number one thing people do that they're kind of wowed by, like, oh, I didn't think of that when they work with you.
I think everyone would say, I want to make more money, because money equals some sense of safety and control, which we all want. So having more money gives us more options. If you feel like you don't have enough money and you want to make money, there's some times when that's truly, a safety and security issue. You can't pay the bills, you can't cover your rent. That's a time when we're going to want to think, how can we access potentially resources to get you money in the short term or boost your income? But if it's bigger picture, if it's not an emergency, but you just feel like you want more money, I would really challenge you to think, how is this money serving me? So the money that I currently have, how does it align with my values, and how is it bringing value to my life? I have done this over my life, and I would say, it's not completely our fault. We're in a consumer-driven society where we're being told we're going to be happy if we go shopping. But the more money I've made, actually, the less shopping I do. I barely spend money on anything besides travel, my home, and groceries. And those things are very values aligned for me. I go shopping for groceries and actually cook with my husband almost every single night of the week. We have family come stay in our home, and it's the place where we work. So we've switched over to seeing what our money will do for us. And it's changed the way that I think about money. So if you feel like you need more just because you want it, I'd reflect on that a little bit and think about why you want more and what you want that money to do for you.
Yeah. And you said like buying a car. I'll tell you, I drive a 2013 white minivan that has plenty of dents, scrapes, and other shit on it. Plenty of damage inside because I treat it like a truck. And I would never lost or won a deal because of my minivan. I will tell you though, I've had a lot of nice family trips, and I've got entire homes out of it. Holds like 38 pieces of drywall just before the wheels start touching the rim, like hits down weight wise. I'm not saying it's the same. I'm not saying the point is, be really cautious when you buy things like cars, and when you spend money on stuff you don't really need. One thing, like you said, you talk about subscriptions, and I think this is the question I had, is there used to be tools, and I don't know if there are anymore, that will look at your transactions and just organize it. Because sometimes, like for me, I sometimes don't review. I just pay the credit card. I don't even look at it. And that's bad. You shouldn't do that. But sometimes I just do that because I'm like, it's on auto pay and it's gone. Are there tools that can A, simply categorize and then B, suggest based on a goal, based on other people like you, or things that, hey, this seems like high, like you have 15 subscription. What would you recommend? And by the way, no one here has sponsorships or anything from that. This is just a real question of what you could use. This is an actual recommendation from a money professional.
Yeah, well, it's such a good question. And unfortunately, I can't think of the name. There is a tool that does this. So I'll have to go look it up and share the link with you, or else, yeah, I don't have anyone to promote. But honestly, there is a tool that will do that. And it's super, super helpful, but it's not coming to me right now.
I want it for my business because you have these lots of little transactions and things. And I'm like, I think it'd be nice to have a categories better than just accounting does it, from more of an active account manager. Because you can find ways to save $200-$300 in a month. Like, don't go so many little trips, like, shop at Aldi versus Whole Foods, like little things like that add up. We'd almost never go out to eat, because it's like every time we do, we're like, that was $200-$300 for the family. And you're like, there's like a week's worth of, like, almost a week's worth of food. It's not quite.
Yeah.
But it's more than a night's, and it wasn't that cool, and it didn't really help me that much.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of didn't finish their, and it's like, it's just like those, like, things that you just take as granted sometimes. Like, that's what you do. Like, well, sometimes if you're trying to save for a house or a car, or you can't pay your bills, you stop smoking. Do you drink alcohol? Maybe give it up for 2 weeks and not have $12 or $20 of this. I know I'm getting on right.
No, it's so true. And that's why I'm saying, if you feel like you want more money, stop and reflect first and think about what value you're getting out of money now, because that's exactly right. You could be ordering from Uber Eats every day. It doesn't actually give you any value. Maybe it actually is making you feel sluggish and you're gaining weight and you don't even like it and you're spending more money. So that might lead to a whole list of action items, like, okay, well, I want to change my habit around ordering from Uber Eats. So actually every Sunday, I'm going to set aside 2 hours to go get the groceries I want, do a little meal planning. Like, there's a whole bunch of habit development you could do there to change that, because you don't need more money because you're overspending in something you don't even want anyway. That just needs to be changed.
That's right. If you can, just walk to the grocery store and only carry back what you can.
My grandma used to do that, and I thought, that's such a good thing. I should do it.
I lived a very long time because they stayed active. They only bought what they needed or carried.
Yeah.
But I do have a rule. I don't want to be seen ever on a road carrying plastic bags. I just feel like my wife's like, every time we do that, I'm like, she's like, you hate it, Emma. Carrying up. Can you carry the plastic bag? I just won't do it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a big savings for me. I quit drinking. That chips off like all kinds of money. That's unbelievable.
Oh my goodness. Especially if you're going out.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at it now, I'm like, I get charged for club soda. I'm like, really? Club soda? Mm-hmm. I paid a cover. I'm not going out anymore.
Yeah. All those little things add up, which is why I highly recommend people just go create that quick budget. Or I've done the same as you. I get busy. Sometimes I don't look at my credit card statement, but if you can do it once every 3 months and really do a deep dive to read through it without judgment, because you'll probably judge yourself and be like, oh, why did I spend on this? We all do it. Just look at it without judgment and learn from it and let it sink in and think, how do I want to do something differently next time? That will start you thinking.
I'll throw this out there. I am hyperactively, I don't say lazy, efficient. So I could price shop on Amazon, but I will take the first recommended whatever it is if I need it, just so I know it needs ordered, even though I could probably pick it up 2 weeks from now when we go to the store. I'm like, nasal spray. Yeah, put it on order, whatever it is. The reason is because it's so convenient. Now, I do want you to discuss, though, convenience and the time versus just order it and pay the extra, whatever dollar you could have gotten at Target. Because some people are like, I can just get that at Target for, or Walmart for $1 cheaper, but it takes you 20 minutes to get there. Like, we just burnt $4 in gas to get there. So talk about these, and I know we're talking about micro stuff, but these same rules apply to how you pay employees or you do your businesses. So that's the mindset of it. Yeah. And so in that mindset of the trade-off of convenience or AI, like you just described, or some kind of like automation.
Yeah.
Talk about that mindset of when it's okay to pay a little bit more for the purposes of time savings. Because some people, a lot of people don't get value time. And that is that's the one commodity you really don't know how much you have.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would not waste my time going to find a better deal for a difference of anywhere less than $100, quite honestly. If I'm going to just do something out of convenience, I'm probably going to order what's convenient. I'm not going to drive somewhere out of my way to go there because my time is so precious. So there's a couple different ways you can think about this. Number one, you can think about your hourly rate. I do this quite often. Financial coaching, I'm going to charge $150 an hour. So if I go and spend an hour doing something, was it worth $150 to do that thing versus working? That's one way you can make the comparison. The second thing you can do is you can just think about the time you have with your family or your loved ones or general time. And is it worth generally going and spending all this time to get a deal on whatever the thing is? But I think if you really looked at your budget and crunched the numbers, the differences of $10, $15, those aren't the things that are going to really, really get you. It's going to be the bigger things. I mean, really the biggest things you should be thinking about are your house, your car, and your savings or retirement. Those are huge. So if you can get those three things to make the most for you, then the littler things don't really matter as much.
I will repeat, I have the shittiest car in all of my neighborhood. I assure you, it does not matter outside of someone going, that looks like a shitty car. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I also have I'm going to drive next year, and I will probably get a newer car. But even then, I'm like, cars are so expensive. Like it's ridiculous. $50K for a new SUV that was like 28 a few years ago. I'm like, what the? I'm buying used, like really used. I might go for 2013, 2014. Okay, that's how new I'm.
Yeah.
I think one of the ties I talk about a lot of times is what people think of you, and you're going to have to drop that. You have to stop caring. If you're thinking of buying that Mustang when all you really need is a Civic to get to work, get the Civic. It'll last longer, get you less tickets, less likely to spin out and end up in a tree as well. You may not look as cool, but you'll have probably an extra $800 a month.
Yeah.
Once you get done maintaining it, putting gas in it, playing all those, insuring it. And the point is, if people don't think in a way that, hey, do I really need that bell or whistle? You get behind quickly. And what'll happen is you get caught in that middle class, what I call trap, where you just keep buying shit that doesn't actually add value to your life when you could have done something in a 3 to 5 year window that allows you freedom for the next 30 after.
Absolutely. So I have a couple of thoughts on that. Number one, I think not enough people know what is exciting about not buying all the things, right? Because buying all the things we know is exciting. So what's the alternative? Not spending money and sitting at home, sitting on twiddling your thumbs? No, the other options are if you don't pay $800 a month for a car, you pay $400. Every 3 months, you have an extra $400, which would be $1,200 to go on a trip. So you could travel 4 times a year with your family. Those are the kind of things that if you actually crunch the numbers, you can get so pumped about. And then that's going to motivate you. Motivating yourself to try to just not spend money for no spending sake is probably going to do nothing for you. So that's number one, get motivated by what other options are out there. And then number two, the intricacies of what is possible if you save and invest. I don't think people understand that enough. I mean,
compound interest in particular.
Oh my gosh. I'm just going to spit this out because I think I ran this calculation recently. $500 a month for 30 years is a millionaire status. So if you want to become a millionaire, instead of having that car, if you set aside the $500 a month, you'd become a millionaire in 30 years. And some people are sitting there saying, well, I don't want to wait 30 years. You can front load your investments. If you invest when you're young, you can stop. Yeah. So for example, for me, I front loaded my investments when I learned about this. And now I'm going to be work optional in my young 40s because I won't have to invest. I won't have to create income. I can do whatever I want. I'm probably going to keep working just because I love it so much. But these are the things that no one tells you how to do. And then once you realize it, you think, oh, wow, I can do so much more with my life. So I just wish more people knew about it because it's so empowering.
If you will, and you're my wife, I'll give you a lay down, just put perspective out there for people. So I went to college, right? Came out with tens of thousands of debt and didn't pay it off forever, right? Made probably, I think like $100K a year coming out of college in 1999. So during the .com. So I was making incredibly good money, spent every freaking dollar of it. And then some, because I incurred more credit card debt. Decided to go to law school for about a year and a half, incurred good 6 figures of debt from that. So next thing you know, I'm like $300K in the hole of debt. You can't even bankrupt, right? So if I could have, totally bankrupt did that. There's not even was on the table. I was looking like, how can I transfer the shit into cards? And then it's like, oh, you gotta wait
Yeah.
a year. I mean, because I was like, it's not worth it. We ended up selling the house we bought, loved, and it was like really nice. We went down to a much smaller house, way cheaper, 5 years. All we did was pay off debt. We did travel. We just still made time for that, but we didn't go out. We didn't do anything. And we came out and we still don't, all we have is a mortgage, right? From a new house that when we moved. And I would tell you those 5 years were hard. But that is the best decision my wife like made us do it basically. And it was, by the way, she didn't know I had all that debt before we got married. Just guys, you might want to share that.
Yes. Pre-marriage conversation for sure.
I see a benefit there. I'm glad we skipped it.
Yeah.
But
you
I'm
worked
not
it out.
going to do what I did. Do what you should do. Anyway, women, you should ask that question. You should definitely have that conversation with your man, and they should have it with you. I got lucky. The point is, now I'm like, so here's my next. I'm leading to a question. So let's move to people maybe a little more advanced in some money. We have a loan on a house, right? And it's like a low rate, like 3.5, like something really low.
Yep.
In my mind, though, I want to pay it off. And so does my wife. My wife says, if we have that chunk of money, we can outperform in CDs, but as soon as we have enough in CDs, we're nuking that. And the reason is, now it's dumb financially because you just lose all that money in the financial interest and the compounding. However, this always assumes the following, that you have income. And that way, because if you have no income, you can't pay that bill, you have to get rid of the asset anyway. So, but if you have no debt on the asset and it's yours, what is your take on paying off a house when you can? If it's just your primary home, you want to stay there, and you're like, I just want to have that one thing. What's your take on that? We won't go into like retirement, because that's a different discussion maybe. But do you recommend that even if the rate's not exceeding it, the interest rate doesn't exceed what you can make in even a CD, which is like super low risk? What's your take on that?
Well, there's kind of two answers. So number one is what is going to make you the most money or save you the most money in the long run. And then number two is what is best for you and your livelihood and your mental health and everything. So I know lots of people who I have crunched the numbers with, and they've been in that situation where they have a very low interest loan and they say, I only have this much left on it. I just want to pay it off. And that ends up being the right decision for them because mentally it just feels like a huge win. So I think that can cause a ton of financial momentum. And yeah, you're right. You might not always have income coming in. So paying it off, you wouldn't have to pay for your mortgage. That can be smart if that's what you want to do. I would say when it comes to crunching the numbers, if you're going to put money, cash that you have in the bank towards something that's a 4% interest, your mortgage, versus earning 7% in a CD, you're going to probably have a better turnout overall if you're investing and then use the extra money you made off the investment to pay towards your mortgage. That's what I would suggest doing for the actual cash flow. But I honestly, like, paying it off and the mental load cannot be just pushed to the side because it is so important to people and it makes such a difference.
It is. And but you're right there. So if you can exceed it and pay it back, and just make that decision if I wouldn't say make you go to zero. If you go from like, you definitely want to do that, but if you still have a year of bills at your current level reserved, there's that piece. The other part that people forget too, on a mortgage in particular, 25% of the interest you're paying, which is usually a lot of your payment, does come off your taxes. So like you do get an additional the other way. So
yeah.
And I'm one of mindset of let's pay it off and then let's go save a bunch more money, buy another home.
Yeah.
And rent it out.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that's another, when it comes to housing, there's so many things you could do. So you might ask yourself, are we going to put $10,000 into the kitchen remodel because we know it actually will bump the price up by $30,000 and then we're going to sell, roll it over into another house?
Wait. What is $10,000? Like you look at painting and you decide to go paint and
I know that's a low estimate. Kitchen and bathroom remodels.
Let's say 50 because you decided to change a sink. I don't know. Like it's so expensive, and I do all my own rehabs. I'm just saying 10.
No,
10
I'm just throwing out 10. It's definitely more expensive, but I mean, my husband and I, so we have our stock market investments, we have brokerage accounts and retirement accounts. We also have 3 rental homes. So we're diversifying in that way. And then we both have our own businesses. So we're constantly thinking where we're going to put our investments. And then even year to year thinking, well, what do we want to sell? What do we want to keep? How's the market doing? So if you feel like your money is getting complicated, that's also okay. There's ways to work all of those things together, either with a financial planner, or if you don't have a CPA, you absolutely need a CPA at that point. You need to have someone helping you with taxes because it's such a huge bill and people can help you make the most of it.
Yeah. I like to, and the other thing too is, by the way, if you're advanced a little bit, the kind of corporation you have, right? So if you have a C Corp versus an LLC, how you pay yourself maybe, or hire your LLC so you can avoid C Corp. So you just don't want to pay double tax. My point is just be aware of that.
Yep.
Because you can screw yourself pretty quickly and all of a sudden you're paying, 60% tax because you paid 25% corporate and you took it next year and again on it. And you're like, wait, they are not same suit, different pockets. If you're a C Corp versus an LLC, just to be clear, get the money out of your C Corp as fast as you can and keep that one level. Anyway, I'm not a tax accountant. Maybe when I ask somebody that for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
But it's a good point. And another one, I've gotten this question all the time. Should I be an LLC or an S Corp? So good rule of thumb, and not a tax professional, but I can just tell you, if you're making $100,000 or more, S Corp status could help you versus LLC status. So basically what it's doing is paying you as an employee when it's S Corp versus an LLC, but you have to do two different tax forms to do that. So if you make less than 100,000, it makes more sense to be an LLC. But again, if you're questioning it, meet with a CPA.
Yeah, it has to do with some of the self-employment tax and some other pieces that are that you pay in. Shameless plug time for you, right? You get to take the floor. Who's kind of your ideal client right now? Like, who would you want to get a hold of you, and how should they do that?
Yeah, I think if you are a woman who is between 30 and 50, you feel like you're in your prime as far as your career goes, but now you want to also make your finances amazing, you are the person we want to work with, because we bring together not only my own services as a financial coach. I have about 30 coaches in my community. And so we help you we meet one-on-one, or you can join one of our programs or download our resources, and we help you reach those goals. So the first thing I would do with you is create a financial plan. Again, that's very holistic, is outlining where you want to go with your retirement, your savings, your expenses, things like that. And then if you want to, land a C-suite role, or you want to launch the business, we have the career and business coaches also that can come in and work with you. So the best place to meet with us is on the website. So it's money-essentials.com. And once you land there, you can connect with a coach. We also offer free unlimited consultations. So if you want to check out a couple different coaches to see who your match is, you can meet with a couple different folks. And then one thing that I'm really passionate about that we do differently than other financial institutions is that we're a financial coaching and education. We do have certified folks on staff. So we have CPAs, we have financial planners, but we're meeting with you just for what you need. So you can pay to meet for an hour and have a session. You don't have to hold your funds with us. We're not going to take a portion of your earnings. So we hope that it's a really good alternative to just meet with us as you need us, leverage us, and then we want you to just be successful on your own. So that's what we're all about.
I love it. If there was one question I should have asked you, but I did not, what was that question? Cues just music.
Yeah, I know. I would say the question I get the most that I always love answering is, what's the simplest way that people can start building wealth and heading towards financial freedom? And I think the simplest thing you can do is truly starting that budgeting sheet, because I would say if I asked 100 people, what are your monthly expenses? 99% would say, I have no idea. And it's, don't feel ashamed of that. But if you don't know how much you're spending, you probably are not going to be able to manage your money and get to where you want to go. So start with your expenses. It's low hanging fruit, write them all out, and then just see what you can cut, what you need to keep. And then from there, we can work on building more income and more of a financial plan.
That's right. You can do more with less. And then when you add more, don't add more.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny. Some people look at it like, weight loss is the same thing, right? Like,
yeah.
If you struggle with weight loss, you may struggle also with your money management, because it's ins and outs.
Yep.
And it just limit the. It's different for weight loss. It messes me up because you want to increase your ins, but you want less. You want to increase your outs, but not ins. But on finance, it's the other way. You want more ins and less outs.
Yes.
Actually, maybe people who do who can't can't lose weight are really good at money because they're like, and more.
Maybe.
I don't know where I was going with that. Annie, thank you for joining me today on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah, you rock. I'm gonna put you in the periwinkle room, which is the color behind me, though it looks blue here. It looks periwinkle there. But thank you. I'll be right back. Thank you, Annie, for joining us today. I really like. There's sometimes some of the most simplest advice gets applied, and it starts freeing up the ability to do more, like to like financial freedom, but also then to have more complex money problems that are good problems. Like, oh, I have money. Where do I want to put it? That's a good problem. That's certainly a first world problem. It's one that you want to have. And having a coach that can help you kind of make sense of it and what to go do in a way that's also not maybe so much benefiting them. So when you know what I mean by that is you're going to hire someone to give you advice versus them giving you advice to do something that actually ultimately benefits them. So there's a difference, and that's why a good coach in the financial space is hard to find sometimes, because a lot of times what they coach on there's products they sell and things like that. So what I like about what Annie's done is it's advice. It's true strategy. You're paying for something that's a known quantity of advice that you're going to get, as opposed to her selling you something you maybe not need. It just benefits her. So like, good job, Annie. I like how you set up your business. 2 points for you. You're winning. Listen, everybody, this is your first time here. I hope it's the first of many. Thank you so much for listening and watching. And until we meet again, get out there and go unleash your entrepreneurship.